Over the last few months, I have been watching YouTuber ParrotX2's recent Minecraft series. From his meeting his two best friends to defeating the Invisible Mafia, Parrot has done an excellent job of storytelling. His most recent upload, though, has raised a question among the fans. Who is the director? At first, this makes no sense, but if you are familiar with the series, then you know who and what I'm talking about. I plan on using what I know of the now 12 episodes to come up with a guess or two of who I think the director is. Again, this is all my opinion and not fact, so take it as you will and make your own assumptions. There may be spoilers, so if you do not want to know the plot, I suggest leaving this video and watching Parrot's channel first. I will first be giving a rundown of the first 10 episodes to better hazard a guess as to who I think the director is. So without further ado, let's get started. In this first episode, we are introduced to ParrotX2, a good PvPer and ex-admin of Lifesteal SMP. Parrot is sent on a scavenger hunt by Spoke is Here, or just Spoke for short, for Minecraft's biggest secret. He is allowed to bring one friend and chooses Weefies, a player he barely knows. In this episode, Parrot is on a mission to break Weefies out of a prison with the help from fellow players RecRap2, JumperWho, and DeRapchu. Along the way, they are working around Prince Zam, who is dedicated to keeping his many prisons intact. This episode was a bit of a roller coaster. Parrot is being hunted down by Clownpierce, who was hired by Prince Zam to kill him for breaking into all of his prisons last episode. Parrot and Weefies are searching for Clownpierce in this episode, who they believe has captured their friends RecRap2, JumperWho, LeoWalk, DeRapchu, and Canadian after being thwarted in the last episode and disappearing for weeks. Parrot and Weefies plan a daring escape out of Clownpierce's prison with their missing friends. To escape all the trauma of the past few episodes, Parrot sets out to build the safest end city in all of Minecraft for him, Weefies, and a few other bullied players. On this endeavor, him and Weefies meet their third and final friend, Dean the Bean 9, or Dean for short. They also encounter the first of the Invisible Mafia. After the fall of the End civilization, Parrot, Weefies, and Dean find themselves trapped in Radoon's base, the richest player on the server. It is there they learn more about the Invisible Mafia and hear about a safe haven far in the Farlands. After escaping the grasp of Radoons, Parrot and gang seek out the Farland civilization to build an army to fight the Invisible Mafia, who is now starting to take control of the entire server. Along the way, they are being hunted by the Invisible Mafia, who somehow find them at every turn. Is there a traitor in their midst? After some final preparations, Parrot and Weefies put into action their plans and defeat the Invisible Mafia and their leader Ashwag. The beginning of the question, who is the director, is at the end of episode 10 of the series. After the Mafia is defeated, Ashwag is banished to the Farlands, where he will no longer cause trouble. It is here that he confesses to Parrot that he was working for another player who called themselves the director. We don't know who this player is or what their motives are or what they really want with the server. This is the episode where a lot of speculation about who the identity of the director is starts to take place. In this episode, Parrot is living a peaceful life after the war until he is yet again hunted down, this time by Minecraft's best player, It's Real Me, who is sent by the director. After a few failed attempts at killing Parrot himself, It's Real Me finally confesses to Parrot that he was hired by the director and the director wants him dead, for what reasons we are unsure of. We get a bit more information about the director in this episode, though it's not much. It is enough to make the fans start to guess who they think the director could be. In this episode, after It's Real Me fails to kill Parrot himself, the director sends a Redstone Master, Mr. Cube 6, to kill him. After a few Redstone traps, Mr. Cube also fails, and Parrot and his new team take in Mr. Cube to interrogate him about the director. All Mr. Cube can tell him is that he also does not know why the director wants Parrot dead, but he gives him a letter that was written by the director before he stasis himself out of their prison. The letter is what starts fans speculating about who the director could be, because in the voiceover it has led us to believe that it is a male voice. But even female voices can be disguised, which is what leads me with my own speculations. This is my theory board. I wrote it down within an hour to help me better understand myself, who I might think the director could be. I want to remind you guys, this is my opinion, and I'm not forcing my opinion on you guys. You guys have your own speculations. This is my opinion, and this is how I'm seeing it. On the far left side of my board, I have a list labeled as the lifesteal possibilities, where I have a list of a lot of the players from current lifesteal players or past lifesteal players, as Parrot worked a lot with his old and new friends to make this series. If you notice, I have a lot of the players marked out with a pen. There's like 24 of them there. Those are people I have seen on the series so far, or like I'm currently on lifesteal. So pretty much anyone who's currently on lifesteal or has been seen on the in the series, whether it was like a few seconds of hand time or along those lines. In the middle there, I have a list, so top middle, I have a list labeled as possible returns. These are people who I have seen in the series or who might return. If you notice, there is one person on there, Brandycraft. He has not been in the series of Parrots, but I have him on there as a possible return anyway, because in case like Parrot decided he's going to bring in a person we haven't seen yet in the series to be the director. There are a couple other people on this mini list of people we have not seen in this series yet, such as Wembu. And if we have seen them, it's only been like a few seconds of screen time, and if it's still possible, we could see them coming back as a villain. Far top right of my list, I have it labeled as current fans / my own choice. So these are people that I see or other people see as possible choices to be the director. The top person labeled Egg-chan. If you don't know who he is, he's been like Wembu's duo partner within Parrot's Unstable Universe series going on right now. If you watch Wembu's side of the story, he and Egg-chan are like this duo on it. I don't know much about Egg-chan myself, but some of the fans after the Parrot's recent video, episode 12, were speculating that, oh my gosh, it could be Egg-chan because the voiceover sounds just like him. Next choice would be SB737. I recommend, if you haven't don't know who he is, I recommend checking out his channel. He's currently on lifesteal. He's been doing good. I think he recently killed Main Pair and Flame Frags, but we haven't seen him in this series, which I think is what kind of makes him an initial candidate to be director, because I feel like it's going to be someone we haven't seen yet, or somebody we have seen for like a few minutes of screen time who like just kind of hiding in the background and watching it all play out behind the scenes. And the third option on that list are the Blindfold Brothers. If you don't know who that is Flame Frags and Main Pair. I could see them both being either separate tyrants in this case, like either one of them being the director or both of them together being the director and working together and throwing everybody off. Below, in the middle right, underneath the fans or my choice, is about 5 players that I have labeled as most likely not. Top one is It's Real Me, who is in episode 11, getting hunted down by the world's best player. As we saw him in episode 11, but I don't really think he could be the director. I mean, I don't know much about It's Real Me, but he doesn't seem like the kind of person who would have a villain arc from what I did see of him. And if you notice, my next two people after him, Dean the Bean 9 and Weefies. And what I didn't mention in my little synopsis is those two characters have technically both died in this Minecraft series. And I was thinking, which is why they're on my most likely nots. But if you also notice, I had them both also on my possible returns list down on the bottom. And I feel like that's because knowing some of these players, I feel like they would have like a mod or something installed where they could build something or have like a crafting recipe to bring somebody back on a hardcore server, which I'm not seeing as likely, because if they had that, then Parrot would have brought Dean back in what episode was that? Give me a second to look at my notes here. In episode 8, Search for the Farlands. I believe that Parrot would have brought Dean back if he had a chance, which is why I find it a little not very likely right now that Weefies could be the villain. Though for some reason I feel strongly that Weefies could still be a partaker, because in the episode when Weefies died, everyone else had like their world's on hardcore, so when you die, you end up leaving the world. So everyone was saying, so and so was killed, so and so left the world. When Weefies died, it said so and so died, but they didn't show the death message of he left the world, which is what makes me speculate that, maybe he's still alive, and they just haven't, maybe he's the villain the entire time, and we've all been played. Moving on to my last list toward the bottom there, labeled as definitely not. We have Fanst, who we saw for like a few minutes in episode 2, breaking into the prisons. He didn't play a huge part in the episode, but I'd say he was still pretty good. But I don't think he's likely to be the villain. Even though he didn't have a lot of screen time, which could tend to make a speculation of, oh my gosh, he's just faking it. I don't think it is him. Force of it. We saw him briefly in latest episode 12, Hunted by Minecraft Redstone Genius. He helped Parrot and his friend Darapchu get some items back that had been stolen from them from Mr. Cube. But I don't think it's 4C. I don't think 4C is able to be the bad guy, same as Bacon Waffles and Planet Lord in this case. And the last of the list, you'll notice I have Boostfur. He played a part in... Give me a second to remember. He was in episode 4. It's impossible to find this player. He played this annoying side character that we got to harass the main one. It was pretty funny, but I don't see him getting a villain arc in this Unstable series. I can't really name any reasons why. I just don't feel like he would be a good or a decent villain. I feel like we need someone a bit more serious. Which brings me back to my select few. I have at the top of my head, I honestly have 2 or 3 possible choices for those who could be the director right off the bat. And my assumptions are, my first assumption is Clown Pierce, who we saw in episodes 2, Broke into Minecraft Secure Prison, at the ending of the episode, 3, got hunted by Minecraft's deadliest players, and 4, it's impossible to find this player. And we saw him again briefly in episodes 9 and or 10. I forget which one. So I feel like he is a good contender for being the director. But at the same time, the whole series he's been at least working for somebody. In the episode 3, he was working for Zam. And then he was working for Ashwag later in the Mafia series. I get Clown Pierce likes to work alone, so I don't see, as much as I don't see him working for someone like he was in this series, I don't think he'd want to give away his role like that easily. I don't think Clown Pierce would play this director character for a few reasons. Clown Pierce is a good villain, but maybe he would want to take a break from being the villain at least once in this case, especially after he was supposedly disappeared after episode 3, and then 9 or 10. My secondary option was, I think Brandycraft was one of my other ones, like one of Clown Pierce's good friends. Because even he wasn't in the series at all, and he hasn't been in Lifesteal for a while. Like, he gave up Lifesteal recently. But I feel like he could still be maybe a chance at the director, because as he has this knack for, like, he can pretend to be innocent, and all of a sudden he's like this narcissist, and like no one sees it coming. If you haven't seen his episode of I Survived 100 Days on this server, yeah, he was pretty vengeful in that one when Radun stole his crafting table. So that's my option 2. My option 3, if you look again at the side of possible returns, notice I have a character with a question mark, Minute-Tech. He wasn't in this Unstable Universe series thus far, but I feel like he would be a good candidate to be a villain. He's a good PvPer, and he seems to always be teaming up with Clown Pierce or the Blindfold Brothers. I feel like Bane would fit a villain criteria pretty well. That he seems to be like a mysterious guy, and we haven't seen him, so I feel like it makes him like the perfect, like, hidden villain deal. So those are my top 3. And then the other day I was talking to a friend, actually. I was telling him about this. This friend watches Lifesteal sometimes, and he watches Clown Pierce's other friend, Caboodle. Like, he'll watch her live streams every once in a while. And when I told him about this Parrots Unstable series, after I told him everything I knew about it, I didn't know who the villain was, but I told him my guesses. And he looked at my, at the time, it written down, theory board. He said, what about Caboodle? And I'm like, it could be Caboodle, but why does that make sense? Apparently, in one of her latest live streams, she titled, was it Siblings Reunited, with her and Clown Pierce. If you look at her skin in the thumbnail, it looks like someone stabbed her character's eye out, which is a bit odd. And my friend had watched that episode, and he thinks that she has finally hit her villain arc. Like, she's tired of dying because she sucks at PvP, or she's tired of because she doesn't do well at PvP. She's had her base blown up X amount of times, and she keeps dying over it, having to move base. And they think she has finally hit her villain arc. So she is definitely a higher contender for it, and if it comes out that it is her, I will honestly be shocked, because I would not really have seen that coming. So that's option number 4, and there actually is a 5th option. I actually considered Spoke is here himself, to be the director. We saw him through episode 1. He was like the kind of the main antagonist in that one. Like, he was the one who set up the scavenger hunt and led Parrot to meet Weefies in the first place. And the reason I think he could also be a contender is we saw him briefly in episode 1, and then we saw him again for a brief time in episode I think it was 10, Unstable Doomsday, where he helped defeat the Mafia. But the reason why he would help the good guy destroy his own thing, I have no idea, but I guess it takes doing it yourself to a whole new level, especially if your people are incompetent. Like, he was probably thinking his work as they failed to kill Parrot on multiple occasions. So yeah, on that. But I think at this point my top contenders are Clown Pierce, Brandycraft, Minute-Tech, Caboodle, and Spoke. Those are my 5 contenders. Oh, sorry, not Brandy, and Weefy, so the technically 6. But I do really think that, against all odds, I feel like somehow maybe Weefies is still alive in game, and maybe they found an exploit to give him back without a mod for rebirth, that's a rebirth mod that lets them bring him back. But unless otherwise, I don't think we'll find out till episode 13 or 14, assuming that this director person is gonna wait to show themselves. Because in the letter in episode 12, the letter that Mr. Cube gave Parrot, he did promise Parrot that they would be meeting whether or not Parrot wanted to. So that makes me think that they're either going to show him or her in episode 13, or give us like a third person to try to hunt Parrot down, and then we'll see him like in 14, or like it's going to be like another 10 episode arc, so we get to episode 20 and find out. But either way, I am really excited to see how this plays out. And if you've watched this and you all these little spoilers and you are still interested and want to know the whole plot line, just go to YouTube and look at Parrot X2's channel. I definitely recommend watching every episode. They are long, but they are so worth it. Storyline is catching. And then go and check out everyone else's perspectives. Like every other, Wimbu and Spoke have their own perspectives of what happened during the Invisible Mafia War. I need to watch them myself, but I definitely recommend you guys check out all the sides of the coin, as they say. That is it from me today. Those are my thoughts. Take it as you will. My thoughts are my thoughts. They are not your thoughts. They do not have to be your thoughts. But I hoped you enjoyed, and I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. So thank you, and hopefully I'll get to see you sometime on the fly.